Hello everyone. In this video lecture on the first 500 lines of Oedipus, we're going to finish up our conversation that we began in our interactive class on the choral entry song, the Parodos, the choral song that is delivered by the aggregation of singers that represent the common man inside the play. Now, here we have just a brief redefinition of the chorus. I've gone over this in the previous video lecture, but I'd like to remind you about a few key details regarding the nature of the chorus in order to set up for our conversation regarding its function here at this moment. The chorus was a group of singers led by the choreagos, so the head singer who oftentimes speaks for the chorus when you see in the play that the chorus is actually delivering lines through dialogue rather than song. The choral odes are divided into those two sections that we discussed, the strophes and the antistrophes. The strophes occur when the chorus is moving across the stage from right to left, looking at an issue or considering it from one perspective. Then the antistrophe occurs where the chorus responds to itself, bandying ideas back and forth along the stage in a kind of symbolic representation of what's going on in the mind of the common people. The chorus is used to provide background information, reflect on the narrative that has just transpired, so it's like a kind of capstone or a summation, a reflection on the ideas and the subjects that have been developed in that previous section of the play. It explores the logic of the play, it anticipates future actions by making prognostications, and it explores the implications of what has transpired. Usually, it serves as a kind of social conscience for the play. So what I'm going to do for the next few minutes is just unpack a few key details about that second that Parodos, the choral entry song. We recognize that the chorus, serving as the instantiation of the people's fears, concerns, hopes, and status generally, is, as it says in line 153, strung between fear and hope. Panic beats at my mind. Blessed healer to whom we cry, I await your answer with awe and dread. Will it be a new demand? So they're caught between these two poles of experience and they're seeking for the middle ground. They're trying to find a way through the fear that they have that their fate is sealed and the hope that they have in Oedipus and in the gods that they may be rescued. As they continue on, this fear progresses and develops into Antistrophe A, where they plead for assistance from the gods, only to then conclude with this fearful assertion: if ever you have saved us when disaster raged over our city, if ever you have sent the flames of misery far away, come save us now. There is, like I said, an element of uncertainty here, or it is unclear whether the gods have ever saved them. And that is, of course, one of the central issues that this play explores. The power of the gods, the existence of the gods, whether the gods are actually willing to save us or to intervene on our behalf if we are troubled. Do we have to rely only on ourselves? And if that's the case, have all those instances where we believe we've been saved by the gods, in fact, only been the execution of our own abilities? In other words, do we have the ability, the power within ourselves to save ourselves? As Strophe B continues on, the chorus says, I search my mind for some defense, but there is none. No crops will grow, none from our fabled earth. No children crown the birth pangs of our women. But they cry out, and one by one, and you see them take birds' wings and rise like flame on flame, unassailable in flight to the dark shore of the western god. So there's something of a relief in death. They are unassailable in flight. As their spirits depart their bodies and they move on to this next life, they are finally free from pain. They're beyond pain, unassailable from the arts and stings and daggers of the torturous existence that they're living in, plague, disease, and famine that has beset the city. They're unassailable in flight, like flame on flame. It calls to mind the image of all the various different offerings being sacrificed to the gods, being burned up as incense offerings to the gods. Here, their children's lives have become offerings, flame on flame, to the gods. Death beyond the city's reckoning, beyond pity, children lie on the ground unmourned, bearing death to the living. So even as the living are alive, they die at the sight of the horrors that surround them. It's that image that we began the course with, of the mother carrying her dead child in her arms, not knowing where to stop until she reaches the end of the world, because the end of the world is for her right there. We've come back full circle to that image, because it's exactly what's transpiring in this moment as they are beset by these plagues. And it's the image that's called to mind in this strophe, to emphasize their horrendous suffering, suffering and pain beyond reason and emotion, expression alike, even in song, this rarefied medium. Hope, however, is offered in this antistrophe B. They are exhausted by their sadness, moaning, begging for relief. Hymns flash out to the healing God with cries of lamentation. Over us we pray, golden daughter of Zeus, raise the bright face of your shield. So, gods, please, Athena, defend us with your shield. Save us. Oedipus then enters into the scene and responds to the choral ode. In line 220, he says, I will save you, but I cannot act unless I have some sign. And if you take a look at the notation at the bottom of the page regarding line 221, it says that the translation or the phrase that is translated as some sort of sign can also mean a proof of identity, such as that which may be found with an abandoned child. So Oedipus, in this instance of irony, and we'll talk about irony in just a few minutes, is sort of subconsciously recognizing, or the play is subconsciously recognizing, that their plight and their plague will not cease until such time as proof of identity, the identity of this character, is revealed to us. Because that is the beginning of cure. That is the beginning, like we said about the Oracle of Delphi, that is the beginning of wisdom, knowing thyself. Oedipus reveals himself to be a man of great mercy, or a capacity. He has a capacity for mercy. When he says, if any man knows who killed Laius, I commend him to disclose everything to me. Do not fear that you will condemn yourself. I offer amnesty and will drop all charges, only exile. So, despite the fact that this crime is a most heinous affront to the gods, he has promised clemency and leniency to those who reveal themselves if they do so willingly. But look at the punishment that will befall anyone who ignores this ruling in line 237. I forbid any inhabitant of this land where I hold the seat of power to speak with or shelter this man, to share the sacred or hold sacrifice, or to sprinkle the water of holy rites. Banish him, shun him from your homes. This is the man who has plagued us. With this curse, the oracle revealed to me. So the punishment is a complete exclusion from community. This person is going to be abject and defiled. He is, in fact, going to be carrying plague and defilement in his own body. He must be cut off from everything, accursed, has no place with his fellow men, who are no longer his fellow men because he is something abject, diseased, and inhuman, because he's not part of society any longer. Our humanity seems to be granted us by our position in that society. And he has no place within the gods, no recourse to them, no access to them, because he can never participate in the rites and sacrifices to the gods. Oedipus raises himself up to the level of gods when he says, so I stand side by side with the god, fighting for the rights of the murdered man. I damn the killer, whoever he may be, an unknown man, or one of many. May he suffer and die, pain beyond pain. I damn myself if I should come to know that he shares my home and hearth, and that I call this curse to fall on me. We have another instance of irony here. As in line 260, he says, my children, planted in the same mother as his, could have forged a bond of blood between us. And the great irony as he speaks of Laius and says, I will defend him as if he was my own brother, or indeed as if he were family. Because I own his bed and make his wife mine. My children planted in the same mother as his could have forged a bond of blood between us. There is a bond of blood between them. So Oedipus speaks more truly than he knows in this instance of dramatic irony. And it's that issue of irony that I'd like to turn to for a moment. Irony has several definitions because there are several different kinds of irony. Verbal irony is a statement in which the meaning that the speaker implies differs from the meaning that is ostensibly expressed. Dramatic irony is the one that we encounter here with Oedipus's statement. It's a literary device in which the reader's understanding of events or individuals in a work surpasses that of its characters. In other words, we know the bond of blood that renders Oedipus's statement about, planting his children in the former king's mother and the former king's wife and creating a bond of blood between them. We know the actual events that have transpired. And so we are aware of something in the situation that differs substantially from the character's understanding. And so the words and actions of the characters therefore take on a different, often contradictory meaning for the audience than they have for the work's characters. What to Oedipus is a kind of noble exploration of his kinship with this man and his desire to show solidarity and fealty to the memory of this deceased individual, the lost king Laius, is to us something that emphasizes the horror and the pitiable nature of Oedipus, and in turn the pitiable nature of every single man. How ignorant, how blind even Oedipus, the greatest of men, is, and so too must we be as we fumble through this universe, never aware of the sins that we commit or the significance of things. Surely we are the most pitiable creatures imaginable when we have no understanding of who we are and what we're doing at any given moment, and whether we're doing something noble or ignoble. The irony here of Oedipus's statements conveys that theme to us. And it continues. His cause is mine, he says in line 263, and I will fight for him as if he were my very own father, and I will stop at nothing to find the one who has this man's blood on his hands. Those who disobey me be damned by the gods. And he pronounces curses upon them all. In response to that, the chorus reflects on the oaths and the duty that they have to the gods. As you request, sir, I will speak on oath. I did not kill him, and I cannot name the man who did. Apollo set us on this search. Apollo should reveal the man who did this. You are right, Oedipus replies, but there is not a man alive who can force the will of the gods. So the common man cries out almost in a complaint, should not the gods, who have punished in this way, have told us about the cause of this curse before they inflicted it on us? Why didn't they give us a chance? Should not Apollo reveal to us the man who did this if he wants him to be punished? Why do the gods seem to act in such contradictory ways? Why don't they just reveal their will to us? And Oedipus, the dutiful servant of the gods, as is appropriate and proper in this culture, corrects them and says, no, you're right that we have this responsibility, and there is truth in what you say. But ultimately, even I, all of us, the strongest of men, are subject to the gods, because there is not a man alive who can force the will of the gods. And Oedipus again speaks more truly than he knows, because that too could be a conclusion of this play. That even Oedipus, as he seeks, ironically, to flee from his fate, to flee from those prophecies that he's going to murder his father and sleep with his mother and produce children with her, tried to do exactly that. He tried to violate the will of the gods, their prognostications and their promises, as Laius did, and both of them were doomed to failure. So Oedipus here, even at this moment when he speaks truth, is somewhat blind to the fact that he, in his actions, has tried to deny this reality. The chorus then introduces the idea of seeking out Tiresias, going to the prophet and asking for his assistance and receiving the will of the gods from the source. Oedipus embraces this happily because, of course, he reveals to us his commitment to the salvation of his people. He will resort to anything. He will do anything in an effort to save them or to learn the truth that can save them. In the next video, we're going to take a look at the interaction between Tiresias and Oedipus and unpack some of the exploration of the political concerns and the motifs that dominate that work.